Hello, and thank you for joining. Thank you so much for showing up at the L.O.U. We appreciate having you guys. We appreciate you guys watching, tuning in, listening, however you guys are here. Today we have Ben Howard. He's one of my best friends. He's been a friend for a long time. He was in my youth group. I've watched him grow up a little bit in the last, I'd say 10 years or so, a little bit over. And it's absolutely amazing to be able to have him on my first podcast. And I can't wait to have so much more. He has a lot of things to share with us today. I'm going to go through some questions with him and just have a conversation about life, because that's what we're here.
Check. Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Trevor, and this is what's going on in the life of you. Hello and welcome. We are here at the L.O.U. and we are here to interview different people just like me and you. They're going through life. We'll talk about faith, family, friends, the lack of any of those, and all the stories that make us who we are. Thanks for joining.
All right. Welcome to the L.O.U. This is Trevor Holt, and this is Ben Howard, my wonderful guest. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's one of my best. And we are here to dive into his life and see what kind of wisdom he can share with us. So we did start this episode already. We went through about 30 minutes and realized that we had some issues going on. So we've tried to fix those technical difficulties. We're going to start over. So if a little bit seems a little rehearsed, it might be. But we'll see where the good Lord takes us. All right. So Ben, let's start with who you are. First time he made a mistake, and he told me who all the people said that he was, or people thought who he was. Like, this is what people think about me. And I said, well, I don't want to know about that. Instead, I want to know about who Ben Howard is. So we talked about that a little bit, and maybe you'll get the other side of it now. If not, we'll see. What you got, Ben?
Who am I? It's a deep question. It's a deep question if you allow yourself to think deep.
Yeah.
Because many times when you ask somebody who they are, they bring a surface level question and they want a surface level answer.
Yeah.
It's deep because it identifies you to who you are, and you can't lie about that. So
that's true.
I guess who I am is a guy trying to find who he is. Mm. And in that daily search, I believe you pick apart maybe the lies you tell yourself, the truths you know about yourself. For instance, a truth that I know about myself is I love the gym. I love fitness. I love everything about it. I love talking about it. I love bringing someone else to the gym and getting a great workout in, and then we're both sore, and it's like we're living the same experience. I know that's the truth about me. A lie that I tell myself all the time is I'm okay. And when I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And so to ask who am I'm not even 100% sure who I am. Yeah. But I am 100% sure that I daily search who that is. And on that journey, people may change in my life. Things may change. Circumstances, well, they're always going to change.
For sure.
So to ask who I am, I'm a guy searching for me.
I'm a guy searching for me. So in 2024, we've talked about it on the last effort that we tried to do this talk. Yeah. We talked about, since you've now said this is who I am, I'm a man trying to find out who I am.
Yeah.
Trying to find me. In 2024, we've talked about the standards and goals that you are chasing after.
Yes.
And what the correlation between those are. So to catch everybody else up, let's go through that and tell me a little bit about your process there.
So back in September, I had a moment with myself that I realized no one's going to save me out of this.
Yeah.
Out of this person of who I've become. A hard lesson was, having a kid, it brings so much joy to my life. My daughter's amazing. I would give up a lot for her. I almost said anything, but yet I still know that I'm selfish.
Yeah.
And so I think setting standards is something that reading The Power of One More, that book, I can't emphasize enough how great that book is.
Yeah.
It changed. I started reading that book, dude. It just started changing everything in my life.
Yeah.
It started changing my perspective of my friends. It started changing the perspective of me as a man, of how I want to hold myself, my standards. So I wrote my standards up on my mirror. And I wrote my standards of, you're going to go to the gym an hour a day. You're going to read. You're going to start your day off positive. So I started setting these standards in return so that I could reach my goals. I mean, if I set a goal, I'm going to finish this book, but I didn't have a standard that I'd read a book at least an hour a day, I would have never finished the book.
Yeah.
Because the standards are the stepping stones to reaching your goal. And so in your journey of whatever your goal is, you have to set those constant standards so that even if you fail, tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
There's your standard. And so many people, when they have a goal, it's so far. In 6 months, I want to be at this weight. I want to look this good. I want to have these abs. I want to be eating this. I want to be traveling here. So many people set that in 6 months that when they fail on month 1, 2 times, there's no way I'll get to 6 months. Because I failed twice and it's only the first month. And it's like, well, if you had standards set in place, then you would realize, be like, well, yeah, you might have failed Tuesday, but you've been on a 16-day streak. So recalibrate, refocus, look at your standards, write them down, and say, tomorrow's a new day. And so day 17, out of 17 days, you've missed 1. Out of 30 days, let's say it's 2 a month, you've missed 2 out of 30, or whatever the month falls on. And so when you start looking at it like that, goals become a lot more attainable.
Yeah.
They become a lot more personable, and you can reach them because you've set those standards.
That's a very good point. So for goals, you have some, I'm sure, set for 2024. But let's start with standards. Let's start with your standards that you've set for 2024.
So I set these standards in October of 2023. And the reason why they translate into 2024 is because I'm still chasing that guy.
Yeah.
I'm still chasing the guy who I want to be. And so the standards I set was I have to read at least an hour a day. I'm kind of between 2 books right now, but I'm kind of reading them both. And another standard I set in October was I got to go to the gym for an hour a day because I want to be fit. I want to be able to do activities with my daughter as she gets older. I want to stay fit, stay healthy. If she, God forbid, wants to do track and she's like, Dad, I want to go run a marathon. At that age, I'm going to be a lot older, so I got to make sure I maintain. And then I just want to be healthy and mentally, emotionally. And with that, one of my standards is I start my day off positive. I don't think I've started a day off since October negative. Have I ended negative? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wake up in the morning, I go into the bathroom, and on my mirror, it says, start your day off positive. Love the process. I wrote love the process so much bigger than anything else because you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy the process.
Yeah,
and that's why a lot of people get burnt out because they're thinking that the joy is at the end. Well, if the joy is at the end, then that one day that you reach your goal, you've been miserable for those 6 months. So it's like, is the payoff worth it? And so you want to set standards that align with your joys in life, and because that is how you'll get to the goal. Is you're loving the process every step of the way. Setting a goal that I want to have a six pack and be fit and be able to run marathons is easy for me because I love going to the gym. I love the process. I've never really been a reader. I don't read a lot of books ever. And so setting a goal that I want to read an hour, it's still joyful to me because I want to be more knowledgeable. And I know it's obtainable because I've been doing it. And so these little lies that we tell ourselves, you're never going to get fit. Your body's not meant for it. You're not this. It's like, hey, where's your standards at? Well, I don't really have standards. What are you doing this weekend? I'm going to go to a restaurant Saturday with my buddies. We're just going to have beers and drinks. Well, you set a standard there.
Yeah.
You scheduled the standard for Saturday to go have beers and wings with your buddies and stuff like that. And so why can't you do it today? And so, we get these checks and balances of things that we enjoy but we know have no benefit. And so in life, that's a lot of what that is, what are your goals? Okay, then what's the process to get there? And that's your standards. And you don't way off your standards. And yeah, you're going to mess up. People mess up all the time. No one's perfect. But you strive to maintain a perfect track. That way, even if you do waver or get off that, you know where you're supposed to be and you can get back on.
That's a very good point. One of the things you said that really stuck out to me, there's a couple of them, but I want to hit this one first. The joy is not at the end. And you're talking about enjoying the process. And you're like day one, day two, day three. And it was really circled around a short point of time. How does that reflect with life? Because I mean, think about it.
No, that's good.
Because what really hit me in that truth is that, man, we're always in a hurry to get everything done. We're always in a hurry. It's like kids, hey, I'm busy. Hold on. I got this I got to take care of. I got these goals I got to reach. I got these standards I got to get done. I got all this stuff. And it's all on this long-term goal of where we're trying to get, right? We have this big goal, this big American dream that this is what I need to get. Not saying those are bad things. Not saying they're bad standards or goals. But how often do we miss out, in your opinion, on the joys all around us every single day, every single moment, because we're so focused on the end goal, when at the very end of it all, because I mean, okay, I'm looking at my life, I'm 35, 36 years old, and as I'm chasing through this life, I'm looking at my 13-year-old girl, right, my oldest, and I'm going, man, she's like her own woman now. Like she's stepping into this womanhood, and I'm like, this is my little girl, man. Like my youngest right now, Emery, who I could just pick up, and she's always in love with daddy. She loves daddy and all that stuff. Things are changing, right? But all the myths I've been focusing on, this is all the things I have to reach, right? I've had my eyes out there. And it really hit me with that. When do we stop focusing on that big picture, whatever we're going for, and enjoy the process, enjoy the ride as we get there? What does that mean to you?
I guess I would imagine your daughter coming up to you, my daughter coming up to me and saying, Dad, are you happy? What are the first things that come to your mind? Because they're not wanting anything from you. Like they're sincerely asking you, are you happy? And in my life, there's many times in my life that my daughter has been laying with me and says, Daddy, I love you. And it's like, what am I stressed about? Yeah. What am I dealing with that whenever she says it, just, I mean, the weight of whatever just kind of falls off me. And the key, I believe, is to really evaluate what makes you happy and that's why you do it, or what makes someone else happy and that's why you do it. Because a lot of times in life, we're trying to find our happiness, but it's because it's going to benefit us in a certain way. It's going to move us up in maybe a company. It's going to build a relationship with someone that doesn't really have the best out for us, but it's going to put us in a better situation for something we want. So, I mean, what is happiness? That would be my question is, in life, what happiness are you searching for? Like, for me, my happiness and my joy is knowing I'm benefiting, uh, being a better man every day by trying to be truthful with myself, by setting my standards, so that's why I can enjoy the process. But why are you enjoying the process? And that's what I would ask anyone who's listening is like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? And if you're not enjoying them, and you're not, and why are you doing them? I mean, some things you got to do that you don't enjoy. You got to go to work some days that you don't want to go to work. You still have to go to work. But other things you know that you're doing doesn't make you happy, but you're still doing them. Why? And for me, trying to find joy, I try to take out as much of that stuff in my life. So things like my daughter saying, "Daddy, I love you," is things I look forward to. And I don't have to miss that opportunity because I'm so stressed about something else. So find the things that are simple like that and bring so much joy in your life, and then just try to get as much of that as you can and push everything else to the side, all the drama, all work, and all that stuff. And that's, I believe, the way to have a happy life is simple things like that. Get those more. Spending time with your kids, that's easy. And and going after that, and stop worrying about all this quote unquote busy stuff, because at the end of the day, in 10 years, your kids are going to remember the things that you did with them, not that house you went and had to do lawn work at. They're going to remember dad time. And so value those things. And then, maybe take some of that happiness and joy and stuff into your work, because you're there more than you are, at your own house. Yeah. So be joyful wherever you can possibly be.
For sure. So as you're talking, like, all these questions just keep flooding my head. So I'm like, man, I can go here, I can go here, I can go here. I'm going to try to go wherever
I'm all
I can.
over the place right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to help us, the listeners, us, myself, like, truly grow into who we want to become. Yeah. You know what I mean? Who we were created to be in this life, to become that person. I think a lot of these things are things we all question, right? Yeah. And none of us have all the answers, but together we can all really help each other grow and become who we're supposed to be. So one of the things you said is having your child come up to you and just picturing that and saying, "Are you happy?" Mm-hmm. As you said that, the answer came to me. And it's, of course. But yeah, I'm happy. I mean, yeah, baby, of course I'm happy, right? And then it reminded me of a time that when we were in this interview, I think it was this one, not the prior one, the first try, but you had said something along the lines of yourself, right? And it reminded me of the first interview where you said you lie to yourself, right? So in the moment, yeah, because in the moment, as a child comes up, yeah, of course, yeah, I'm happy. If you define happiness and then you say, "Oh, do I meet this?" Most of the time, we're going to say no.
Yeah, a lot of things in life we don't meet the requirement of the definition that we're putting out, and so the problem is it's so much easier to, we've talked about this in the past, to lie to yourself.
Yeah,
because if you're so used to lying to yourself, then it's that much easier to lie to someone else, because you know yourself. You're always trying to protect yourself, because we're selfish people. And so if you can get to a point in your life where you're actually honest with yourself and think before you even speak to something as simple as my daughter asking me, "Daddy, are you happy?" And it's like, am I happy? I might be happy right now because I'm with my daughter. So maybe, is it a conditional happy?
Yeah.
Where maybe in certain conditions I'm happy, but overall in life I'm not happy. And start to evaluate where in my life am I lying to myself?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I, why do I go to work and act like this? Why do I, when I talk to this person, I say these certain things? Is it because I want recognition? Um, uh, why do you do the things you do?
Mm-hmm.
That's I think what a lot of this, like, dissect who you are, deal with whatever comes up, and don't hide it. Because I believe people who are honest with themselves and try to work on themselves, people will realize that, and they will be more open to you, and in return you guys are growing together. Yeah. I mean, how many years did I tell you, yeah, I'm good, but my whole life's falling apart. And so when we start being real with each other, I'm like, dude, I feel like maybe, God is bringing me in this direction, but I'm just bullheaded, man. I just can't get past this pride. I'm dealing with depression. I'm dealing with pain. And then you're like, dude, so last week, and then you open up, and it creates a place that, with that inner circle, with those few people, that actually makes you stronger and benefits you, because you guys are being honest. You guys are being open. So when you say, hey, Trevor, are you happy? You realize, maybe I'm not happy in some things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what I need to work on. And lying to yourself is bad, but what it does is it creates a ripple effect into every aspect of the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And then you start lying in everything. And next thing you know, when your daughter asks you, Daddy, are you happy? You say, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's always fine. Yeah. I'm not saying you gotta, well, look, honey, we got a lot of bills coming in. I'm not saying you have to do that, but right. How long are you going to lie to yourself until it kills you?
Yeah.
How long are you going to lie to yourself until you're 10 years into popping medication, and you're like, if I would have just addressed some of this stuff, maybe I wouldn't have to take as much medication.
Yeah.
Or are you going to wait till your fourth relationship that falls apart? Or are you going to wait until your kids need help with something that you went through, that if you would have been honest with yourself, you could have helped them?
Yeah.
But you never dealt with it. And so, in life, there's a lot of things that truthful responses will clear up so much in your life. And it'll be like the butterfly effect, that it changes so much you won't even recognize your, entire life. You'll be like, wow, how'd I get here? Well, I was just being honest. I was just being honest with how I felt.
Yeah, that's really good advice. One of the things that you said earlier too, that really caught my ear, that I want to dive into, is your daughter saying "I love you."
Yeah.
So when you said that, we say "I love you" because it's what we say at the end of a sentence to our loved ones. End of a phone call, end of everything. It's this little made-up sentence that doesn't mean anything.
Hey, I love you, guys. Talk to you later.
Exactly.
It's just nothing by it.
It doesn't mean. But our kids, our child, they don't have anything they're getting out of it. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to get out of a conversation. They're not trying to say it for no reason. It's like the closest of the true meaning of love coming to you. And I think that's why it means so much. So dive into that for me and tell me your thoughts on that, because it just opened my eyes to that, my mind to start thinking about that. They're not even getting anything from this.
All right. So I'm gonna be honest with where I'm at.
Yeah.
Even right then, my brain went, don't. That's how crazy our brain is.
Yeah.
I am sitting in a room. We're the only two people in here.
Yeah.
If at any moment I was like, hey, can you cut this part out? You'd be like, yeah, dude, I got too crazy.
Right.
But that's how our brain works. Is we're like, you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna be honest. We're gonna be, and then we're like, I'm okay. Yeah. And so that's why it's so crazy to start so small and just be like, I'm not gonna lie about this.
Yeah.
I didn't take out the trash today. I told you I did, and then I had to call back at the house and pay one of our kids $5 to take out the trash. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have lied about it, but I can't get it off. But something as small as that. Yeah. And so, so I'm gonna be honest. And as I nervously get through this, I haven't been happy where, dude, it hurts to get this out.
Yeah.
I haven't been happy with my life for a while. I haven't been happy. with where I'm at. I'm ashamed of like where I live, and I've had people come over and be like, dude, it's not that bad. Like you made it look not like, and you know, and even as something as stupid as I drive an Audi smaller car, and it's like I thought in this life I'd have a 4-door truck by now.
Yeah.
Like I thought I'd have a 4-door or a 4-bedroom house. I thought I'd have, and it's just like, man, I'm embarrassed of myself. I'm shameful, and then you start internalizing the actual things that you're dealing with. Like, man, I'm fat. I work out all the time. What do I got to show for? And it's like you start going down this deep hole, and then last night I'm watching Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
With my daughter, and she leans over and she goes, "Daddy, kiss," and I'm like, oh, "I'll give you a kiss." Give her a kiss, and she grabs my arm all the time, and she pulls my arm over and like hugs it real close, and my first thought was, "Who are you doing this for? Who are you trying to impress? Some girl on Tinder?
Yeah.
Some girl on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Like what?" Like,
wow.
You have a car, okay? You can get your daughter anywhere. You have a 3-bedroom place. Who cares? Like, your daughter doesn't care that you have this stuff.
Yeah.
You could have brought her to a 1-bedroom apartment, and she doesn't care. She wants to hold you. She loves you. She wants to kiss you. Daddy, fruit snacks. You could have took her anywhere.
Yeah.
And she would have still said, "Daddy, I love you," and gave me a hug and wanted to hold my arm and watch Kung Fu Panda, because we care way too much.
Yes, we do.
And it's a problem. And when our kids come innocent and like you said, they don't want anything, it should put a vision inside your mind of like, dude, why do you do all this?
Yeah. Why
do you work out so hard? Like, I could go run a marathon right now if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I constantly think about I'm not in shape. I constantly think about I could be 10 times better. I gotta get in the gym. I gotta grind. And then you have a breaking point. Oh, God forbid. And you go have a Crunchwrap Supreme. Yeah. And you're like, I've ruined everything. My daughter's gonna hate me. She's not gonna love me. She's gonna be like, "Daddy, hi, you fat." Yeah. Like, she's gonna do all this stuff, and it's like you start. And the entire time, she's like, "Daddy, hug." Yeah. "Daddy, I want to hold you." Mm-hmm. "Daddy, I love you." Wake up in the morning, "Daddy." Like, it's crazy how much we care about, and no one else cares about. Yeah. Well, I got people at my work that. I tell them like I struggle with being in shape and stuff like that, and they're like, "Dude, you're the most in shape person here." Yeah. And so it's like so many people around you in your life don't even think about the stuff you're internalizing. The stuff that is constantly keeping you up at night. The stuff that's like, man, everyone at work thinks I'm a failure and stuff like that. And then you go into work and then you have a buddy tell you, like I had the other day, like, "Dude, I look up to you. Like, you're great. I talk about you all the time at the house and stuff like that." And I'm like, "What? Dude, I'm a failure." It's just like, so, to come with all your baggage and there's no one there to carry it. Like, it's like, dude, why even bring it? Like, just deal with your stuff, be honest with yourself, and start working through it. Yeah. And, at the end of the day, like, you are better than what you think you are most of the time.
And speaking of time, just as you're on that point right there, speaking of time, how much time is wasted because of those thoughts, those worries? Right there, that I'm not good enough, I'm not this, what if people think this, all this stuff. How much time do you think we spend on that per day?
Sleep alone. How many nights do you stay up thinking about this stuff, and you're the only one thinking about it?
Yeah.
And and during, how many goals don't get reached because you're worried about someone else's thoughts that aren't even there?
Yeah.
And there's. I had somebody tell me one time that, dude, it's crazy how much you go to the gym and you don't have a 6-pack. And it's like, maybe there is one person out there that thinks the way I do. And then the entire 2 months, the only thing I could think about was that guy telling me that. And so I grinded and I grinded and I was like losing weight. I lost like 14 pounds. And I was like, man, I'm getting real close to a six pack.
Yeah.
I had a ways to go. And so I saw that guy and I was like, hey dude, six pack. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, you said I go to the gym a lot and that's six pack, and you told me a couple months ago. I figured me and you were like, yeah, we're gonna get a six pack. And he goes, I haven't thought about it since. And he's like, I've had like pizza, I've had like Miller, like I've had a bunch of junk food and stuff like that. And he goes, I kind of gave up on that. He goes, my life's pretty fine though. And I was like, I've been stressing about getting the six pack because I wanted to prove to you that, and it's like, how many times do we do that? We try to prove to someone else I'm successful, and they're like, I forgot about that immediately after we talked about it. And there's the amount of time that is wasted is ridiculous. And even starting to set your standards, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna have a standard. I'm gonna start speaking Russian. Because that's something that we all do. And then you have one guy that's, oh, that's a stupid idea. What are you going to talk Russian for? Blah, blah, blah. And then 2 weeks into it, you're like, yeah, well, I got to talk Russian, man. What's the point of talking Russian? And then, you have five guys that start it, and then, you're the only guy looking up Russian stuff. And then you meet those same people, and they're like, oh, yeah, I gave up on that. Yeah, this guy said it was stupid. And, and so it's like, okay, well, was that your goal, or was it theirs? And it's something, I'm talking about speaking another language, but it could be something as in you got diagnosed with diabetes and you don't want it to get too serious and you want to set a good example for your kids, so you try to eat healthy, and then you have someone at work telling you, oh, dude, you don't have to eat healthy all the time, you're going to be okay, blah, 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 and so you slack on that, but it was a real goal that you set for yourself that would have benefited you in so many ways just to stop eating Oreos, and because of someone else's opinion, you let that goal go. And it's like, well, did you set it or did Jimmy from work set it?
Yeah.
Because I thought you were in control of your life.
Yeah, and one of the things you've said a couple times now that opens up a question that is just pounding on my brain right now. One of the things you said was what they said to you, set your goal. Okay, so they said something about six-pack. Okay, and then you're like, okay, got to do it. And then they weren't even thinking about it no more. They didn't care. Then we moved on to a different, and now we're talking about how it's just what they say. It's how they say it. So we're talking, the point is, we talk about what other people say. So we have power in words, we know that, right? Power in the things that we say. So this ties into what your kids are going to remember, right? And it goes with those things. But if you could go back to a perfect age and tell you the perfect thing to shape your life, what would be the age and what would be the advice?
Man, there's so many moments.
Yeah.
I think when my mom left.
When your mom left.
When my mom left, if I could go back and tell that 11, 12-year-old boy anything, it would be, it's okay to feel this. Like, feel everything you're feeling and express it, and your life is going to be so much easier. And I think at that age, I was just like telling myself it doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters. Like, nah, people grow up without a mom all the time. Like, you're going to be okay. Like, oh, dude, going to school and just like, trying to care about school. And you're like, oh, yeah, I really need to worry about math because, it's like second or third grade. Like, and just trying to take my mind off of it at all cost. Going home and playing PlayStation 2, Ford Racing 3. Like, I remember exactly the game. I remember exactly the track. I could go to Ford Racing 3 on PlayStation 2 right now, pull up the truck I was driving. I remember the exact race. And because in that moment, I told myself, like, focus on the game. Don't focus on how you feel. Focus on the game. Focus on the game. Focus on the game. And I was so in tune with the game, playing with my cousin. My cousin was on the couch. My dad told me, like, hey, your mom's gone, blah, blah, blah. And just to tune it out. And if I could go back, sit on the couch and be like, hey, buddy, turn off the game. And think about how you feel right now and accept all of it. Accept the anger. If you gotta punch a wall, punch a wall. If you gotta cry, cry. If you have to, because if you don't, man, for the next 20 years or however long it is, you're gonna be questioning why you can't hold a relationship. Because you've never dealt with any of this. And so in a relationship, when things get to a point where they might feel like, okay, they're just gonna leave, like it's doomed and stuff like that, you try to do it first. And you're like, well, you're not gonna leave me. I've already felt abandonment. I'm gonna leave before you can leave.
Yeah.
And then so, like, you know, if man, there's so many points in my life though that if I could go back and just be like, dude, feel it, accept it. You know, even in my marriage, that I don't really talk about this side of it at all. But if there's so many times in my marriage that if I would have been vulnerable and said, okay, don't get upset. It's okay to feel angry, but you need to tell them how you feel. Instead of going, I don't care, I'm going outside. I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a run. And then going for a walk, turning on Back in Black by AC/DC or whatever, and be like, doesn't matter. Like, who cares? You're independent, you can do everything by yourself, and you don't need nobody, because that's always worked.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, and so, but I feel like I'm a way different guy than even I was then, you know, 5 years ago or whatever. And so, you know, there's so many points in my life, dude, that if I could go back, but the good thing though is I'm aware of that. There's a lot of people not aware of the mistakes back then, and then they just keep trying to recreate. Well, this worked in the past. No, it didn't. Why are you trying to do the same thing? It never worked. And so, you know, looking back at it now, it's like, dude, feel. It's okay to feel. If you got to go home and cry, cry. Like, if you got to, and trust me, dude, I'm not a crier, and I think I have a lot of messed up views on crying, but you know, it's okay, and thank God blessed me with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And because she has made me vulnerable a lot, and holding me, and daddy, and like, I love you, and it's softened me up quite a bit. And there's a lot unpacked in that question. So
Yeah, no, for sure. So you say that God blessed you with a girl. Amen. I agree with you. He blessed me 3 times with 3 of them. So I understand that. So when you say she helps you be vulnerable, taught you how to be vulnerable, and puts you in a lot of situations to be vulnerable, talk us through that a little bit, on how that has softened up your heart.
Oh, that little girl. It's a lot. Dude, there's a lot unpacked in that. And it's okay to not be okay. And I know we've all heard that. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to not be okay. And you keep telling yourself that. And with her, you know, a lot of times when she's hugging me, you know, they're tiny kids. Like, their head's way down here. They can't see your facial expressions. They can't see, you know, going back into, you know, going back, dude, this is messing me up. But I've seen my dad cry less than 5 times in my life, and every time messed me up. And my daughter hugging me and holding me makes me remember of some of that time that, you know, I saw my dad cry on the floor in our living room, and he didn't even know I was watching. And thinking, like, man, I want my daughter to know I'm real. Like, that I have a heart, that I feel, that she can come to me with anything, and like we'll work it out. And Dad's strong. I can kill a lot of guys if I have to, but Dad also struggles. And, you know, my dad, there's a lot of things he walked through in his life, and I've never seen him struggle. Like, he would just go through it. And so, you know, I learned, even if I struggle, just go through it. Who cares? Don't feel it. Like, and so, you know, and then, but when you talk to my dad about it, he's like, yeah, I struggled. Yeah, I thought about a lot. Yeah, I broke down a lot, but I just didn't show you. And it's like, I wish you would have. I wish you would have showed me some of this stuff, because it taught me to be hard as a rock, even though I'm getting skipped across the river. Like, and so eventually I'm going to sink, but I'm as hard as a rock as my dad. And it's like, you know, with my daughter, as I hug her and I hold her, you know, I've teared up before. She goes, "Dad, are you okay?" And I'm just so happy I'm hugging you. I just love you so much. You know, Dad might be going through some things, but I love this hug. I love affection. And so, you know, if you would have told me to tell my dad that before I had my daughter, I'd been like, what, so he could punch me? like, so, yeah, you know, and even, you know, my dad, you know, has gotten, you know, easier over the years to be compassionate with, you know, with his you know, my nephew Braxton, and you know, having a grandson, and yeah, he's a grandpa. So it's like, I think it's valuable to show your children that there's times to be strong and there's times to be vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, it needs to be around the right people that love you, people that want the best for you, and that is the best way to live life. And you know, going back to one thing that, you know, I would have told myself is when my mom left, is like, feel that. It's okay to be strong, but it's okay to cry right now. And I want my daughter to know that. And in that, it makes me more vulnerable, because it's like I'm opening up something that I wasn't taught as a kid. And so there's so much packed into a father and a kid relationship. But even if you don't have a kid, you have to realize you need to find a couple people in your life that you really do trust, that really do love you, that you need to be vulnerable with. And you know, and not being the boy who cried wolf, you know, every day there's a problem. You kidding me? but coming with who you are and listening and allowing them to build a foundation for you and you yourself, and setting standards so that you can reach those goals. But being honest.
So with that said, you said things I was not taught, and then you talked about people to get with others, that they could get people around them in their little inner circle, however they want to look at it, as people that they could be vulnerable with. So as you have walked through life to where you are now, the things that you've learned, the things that your daughters taught you, the things that you've watched your dad walk through, that you see him softening up, you see how all those things are taking place. In my view, it's such an awesome opportunity to be able to walk through the same things that your dad is walking through, and heal from some of the past trauma and all the situations that you guys have been through, and knowing that your daughter, a gift from God, is producing that in both of you. How does that feel to you? Like, I mean, to me, it's just like, dang, like that's a big thank you, Jesus. But what does that mean to you?
I think a lot of times in life, we try to manufacture something that can't be made. And what I mean by that is, I try to cultivate love, passion, stuff like that, by myself, and manufacture it, but it was false. And on the outside, it looked good because I'm molding it the way I want it to look. I'm doing all this stuff, but it had no insides. It had no weight to it. But when you give up on you trying to make it look the way you want it to look, you'll find 9 times out of 10 it'll come to you the way it's supposed to. And so I think with God gifting me a girl, that's so sweet and so great, that I didn't know at the time I needed that until I realized it already happened.
Yeah.
And so in life we try to manufacture all this stuff, and it's like, just let it happen. The only thing you have to do is allow it. And that's where we get messed up, is we might feel something in our life that is breaking some of those molds that we've created, and then we push back on it, and it's like, well, it might not be what you think it should be, but it's what you need. And so in my dad's case, and in my case, you know, he probably didn't think at the time that he got Braxton that this is going to change me for the better. He just thought this is what has to be done. And so, you know, getting my daughter and having her such a blessing in my life, there's a lot of days where I'm just like, man, I'm just happy to be a dad. And I love being a dad, and I love playing with her. I love watching cartoons. Let's watch Kung Fu Panda. Let's get some snacks. And then in the background, all this is happening. But I'm not manufacturing it. It's just happening.
Yeah.
And so then you have one night that she hugs you and she gives you a kiss, and you're like, oh, this is what I was missing. This is what, because you didn't do it. And you just allowed yourself to open up and be honest. And then the miracle happened. And so, you know, I think you know, me and my dad kind of healing a lot of things in our life of trying to be this tough guy, and intimidating and stuff like that. And the whole time, God's like, I got something else for you.
Yeah.
I got a better plan. And is there a time to fight? Yeah, there is a time to fight sometimes. But I think that God, you know, had a way where He's like, you keep trying to do this, Ben, just let go. Let go. You keep messing this up. You keep trying to be more vulnerable. You try to be more vulnerable with these girls. You try to be more vulnerable with your dad. You try to be, but I only gave them what I wanted them to have. And when God does it, He puts it the way He wants it, whether you want it to or not, because you don't even realize it's happening. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're like, so I cried the other night. it's like, come on, dude, come on. So, you know, and that's with a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
Just be honest. Go down the path, and that honesty will make a lot of things happen in your life that you can't even make happen.
Yeah. Be honest and trust the process.
Dude, trust the process is so big.
Yeah.
Trust the process, because you know how many days I look at my goals and I go, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And a lot of times, dude, sometimes it's not even you that gets you to your goal. It's somebody else. You know, me and my dad wanted to ride motorcycles and stuff like that, and my dad had this whole plan all along that I didn't even realize. Next thing you know, we're riding motorcycles down to, you know, wherever. Yeah. And so, you know, and I've told God for a long time I want a better relationship with my dad. A long time. And I always tried to make it happen. What made it happen was I was like, all right, I'm gonna set a standard. I'm gonna call him once a week. I'm gonna be honest with him where I'm at, and go from there. Yeah. And so I started telling my dad, like, hey, I think it's time. Like, I want to build a better relationship with you. I don't know how to do it. I would have never told him that if I wasn't honest. But I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to grow this process. I want to get to know you better, and I think it's sometimes awkward because we don't have that kind of relationship. And so with being honest, we're closer now than we have been in a long time. And so we'll go out to dinner, and we'll go ride bikes together. We'll go, but it started with being honest, and love the process. I love the process of getting to know my dad more. Every time we go out to dinner or whatever, we're laughing. It's fun. We're having a great time because I don't set an agenda of how I think it should be. I'm loving the process.
Yeah.
So, you know, I want to get in shape. but I love the process of going to the gym. So,
one of the things as you're talking, it came down to you just having to be honest, like you said, but having a conversation with your dad and being straight up with him and saying, I have no idea how to do this. In that, you're going and having a hard conversation that is not fun for any man to have when you haven't broke that ice yet, when you haven't broke that wall down, because then you're looking weak, right? And then saying, I don't know.
it's big for a lot of people.
It is big for a lot of people. So
I'm lost.
Yeah. Conquering that and doing those things, how important, right, is that conversation to have? How'd you overcome that? What advice do you have on that? I mean, it's just like run off the bridge, just do it, just go, just jump out of the boat, as we've talked about. What does that mean to you? What kind of advice can you wrap up and give the audience, us, myself?
Be scared and still do it. Because you're not gonna, if, I forgot where I heard this quote from. Actually, I think it was a girl called Songbird or something like that, off of American's Got Talent or something like that. She said,
It's not America's Got Talent, but or maybe it is. It's one of those shows with
Simon Cowell. Yeah.
What's the other one? America's Got Talent, and then
American Idol.
It is America's Got Talent.
Oh.
That's the one I was thinking it was. But
Yeah, and she said something along the lines of, if you're waiting for everything to be perfect to start living life, then you'll never live life.
Yeah.
Along the lines of that. And that's true. If you're waiting for I'll have that hard conversation when I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Well, just say goodbye to that relationship, because you're never gonna talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'll start my goals, my track on my goal when I feel like the mood's right, 60 degrees outside. You know, you start putting all these stupid stipulations on it, and the whole entire time it's like, dude, just do it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the conversations I've had with my dad sometimes are just like, I know it's weighing so much on my heart to go and talk to him about something, that it's just like, okay, Ben, let's be honest with yourself. When do you plan on doing this? Because if you're not going to do it tonight, and it's pressing you so much that you need to go have this conversation, you know, with your spouse, with whoever, it's weighing on you, you can't stop thinking about it. It's like, so are you going to want to go have this conversation when you're not thinking about it?
Yeah.
When it's easier to forget about it? So, you know, do it when you're scared. Who cares? You know, I was scared to death. I was like, my dad's going to think I'm a loser. My dad's going to think I'm a sissy. You know, I'm going to go to my dad and be like, Dad, I've been struggling about this. Oh, you think that's a struggle? Like, you know, and so it's like all this stuff. And I told my dad how I felt. And my dad goes, well, I just want to let you know I love you. And I was like, was it that hard? Well, I love you too, Dad. Sorry, I've been thinking about this for 2 months and I haven't really addressed it and stuff like that, and that's why we're not really that close, because every time I want to talk to you, I just like, I can't, and it's like, be afraid, still do it. And that's what a lot of people, you know, life doesn't have to be perfect for you to make the right decisions. Make the right decisions.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's crazy how much we allow emotional states to dictate what we know we should do.
Yeah.
And it's like, what else do you do that with in your life? You know you have to go to work, so every day, whatever time that is, how many snooze buttons you have, you still make it to work. Most of Americans still make it to work. And that's not even something in the big scheme of things that are really important. So when you have something that you want to do with your kids, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
But you can't go with the same tenacity as going to your job. You can't set that daily goal. And it's like, when you start breaking it down like that, like, these are things that really matter. Friendships really matter. But you can't talk to somebody once a week, but you can make it to your job 5 days out of your week. And it's like, where are your standards at? Your standards are all over the place because you value going to your job more than you do your relationship with your kids. And you could put that to your health. You could put that to your family in general. What are you putting that you're doing above the stuff you should be doing, but you're not? It's crazy to me. People are like, I know I should be eating healthier. I'm 300 pounds, but man, do I love a Whopper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So talking about those things brings up priorities. Because it's a big thing right there when you're saying like friends really matter. Work we choose. We go to work. We're disciplined there. We just show up to work. You know what I mean? And the fruit that we get from that is the money, the paycheck, all that stuff. The fruit that we can get from the relationships built through friendships is far beyond that. Far beyond any amount of money can buy.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We did have some technical difficulties. This is the first episode. We're learning through them. We're going to continue to grow. But this year, we're really focusing on just putting one foot in front of the other and not letting anything stop us. So due to it being 2024 and me wanting to get out there and get things started, that's what we're going to do. Some of the highlights that we went over that Ben talked about was be scared, but still do it. So no matter what, even if you're scared and you're facing something, get out there and do it. Push hard, get through it, and learn something. Something else Ben shared, and it was a big highlight for me. I'm not sure if it was in that ending where you didn't get to be there or witness, but your standards are not just for you. It's definitely something to learn from. The standards you set for your life aren't just for you. It's for generations upon generations that come after you for what you stand for in your life. Remember, what matters is standards. That's how you're going to reach your goals. One of the things Ben shared that really touched me was one, being vulnerable. Another one is it's okay to not be okay. We've heard it before, but with his history and different things that he shared, it really touched my heart, and I hope it touched yours. And always remember to enjoy the process. There was part of the ending of our podcast that got cut a little short, and we won't get everything that we talked about. There's still a lot that we got to listen to and a lot we got to get from Ben, and we're very thankful for that. We thank you guys for listening. We thank you for tuning in and being here at the L.O.U. We can't wait to see you next week at the L.O.U.